Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode. We're on Coldborough Park Farm yet again, and I just wanted to show you something. You know, I normally try not to teleport from vehicle to vehicle, etc. But I wanted to show you that this is the latest and greatest version of Courseplay, and I wanted to point out something that is new that I find to be actually quite cool and helpful. To me, especially because a lot of times when I use Courseplay, I'm using Courseplay to sort of do a task that I don't necessarily want to have to focus on. You know, the scenario would be I'm hiring this worker, looks like a female in this case. She's doing a fantastic job, by the way, and I really, I just want to tell her to go and sow or seed a field, in this case field number 17, that we're planting. Hopefully will be a whole crop harvest that we will send to the BGA as chaff for silage purposes. Hopefully we can get that to the last growth stage before the harvestable growth stage before winter sets in. I think we can. But anyway, that's what we're doing here. But I wanted to point out this. This is cool. This is of course, this is an approximation. So don't go and set your stopwatch by it and expect the numbers to be exact. That when it hits 32 minutes from now, that this task is going to be done. Because, of course, like I said, it's an approximation based on the field size, based on some, obviously probably some calculations based on, how the length of time it takes for the vehicle to turn, etc. But I just wanted to point that out to you and let you know this is 501.52. So this is still a development version of Courseplay. It's still a work in progress for Farm Sim 17. But go out and get that at their GitHub website if you're interested, and you can get the link to that in my mod spreadsheet by going to grizzlybearsims.com. Alright, so we are going to teleport, and again, I try not to do this, but it just needed to happen for this particular storyline. So what we're basically going to do in this episode is I sort of lost the plot. I'll be honest with you. Let me just kind of show you what I'm up against here with regards to the amount of milk that we have. We got 234,000 liters of milk in our milk tank. I hauled maybe, I don't know, 7 or 8 loads before I said, something, it will just drive me completely bonkers if I just do that, and that's all I do in my gameplay offline. And so what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to remove the stop milk cell today during this game day at midnight. When we fast forward through from game day, which we're in 4 right now, to 5, that milk will sell. I'll put the stop milk cell back down, and then that will kind of help us with that task. So you can expect probably our money to jump fairly significantly. We were getting about $7,000 per load, and that tanker held 22,000 gallons. So do the math, and that's probably what we've got coming to us. I do want to just jump over here. I am going to we're gonna basically haul some straw bales, or no, some wool, and we're going to use what I refer to, and this is not, I didn't make this up. I first saw this method of bell handling in a Reefy 1952 video that he did, and he referred to it as the bipolar profit method of moving either bells or pallets or whatever the case might be. And so that's what we're going to do here. So obviously I'm using the CSZ, I believe it's the CSZ, CSZ products here. These have some auto loading scripts to them. If you don't like this, then it's not going to dominate every single episode. We're not going to do it this way every single episode, but I just want to get these bells to market as best as I can. And so this is just really a kind of a quick and somewhat easy on my part, and probably easier on your part as well, because it's less of you having to watch me fumble around trying to load these pallets. And hopefully I can get this one here. Yeah, so I kind of got it from the side, a little bit unrealistic, sorry about that again, but it makes it easier. You know, it's just I absolutely love this game, as I know many of you do as well. And but there are just some tasks that need to be done on the farm, which unfortunately are a little bit easier in real life. And I've talked about this before. I shared my experience in I worked at a manufacturing facility in Texas that makes the laminate material that goes onto countertop. So when a countertop is built, at least this is the way it was done back, you know, many years ago, you would build the countertop out of, you know, plywood or MDF or a combination of both or whatever, and then you would put this laminate, which is very, very thin material, on the top of it, glue it down with some contact cement or something of that nature, and then trim the edges, and you know, then put the trim across the front. And it basically makes a, you know, a nice, less expensive alternative to some of your other typical materials that you might use to make countertops and stuff out of. So anyway, when I worked there at this particular plant, I drove forklift, and I found that it was much easier to do that in real life, just because your depth perception, if we're kind of getting cab, I mean, your depth perception of where that's a hard word to say together, depth perception, but your depth perception of where you are, where your vehicle is in relation to the pallet or whatever it is that you're, you know, picking up, is a lot better in real life than it is depicted in the game. And I don't think that that's necessarily Giant's fault. I would not necessarily expect that to become... Ooh, look, they're sunk into the concrete. Hopefully we can still get them. Yep. I don't really think that that's necessarily Giant's fault. I just think that that's quite possibly the limitation on just the game itself, and just, you know, sort of where we are with technology. Maybe, you know, maybe if you had true virtual, you know, VR, like a VR type goggles or something like that, maybe, just maybe, it would be a little bit better, a little bit easier, a little bit more lifelike. But you know, something, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about in the previous episode when I sort of got a little bit on my rant about AI traffic, is that, you know, again, this is a simulation based game. I fully realize that, you know, not everything can be, you know, the game can't be developed in such a way that everything is just as it is in the real world. And so you know, it's the best that it can, it's the best that it can be. And you know, the shortfalls between actual reality and virtual reality, I think we're always going to have, you know, some shortfalls. And I think for me personally, that's going to be acceptable. It's not going to be a problem to have, you know, some minor problems. So I think that's about all that we can get on that trailer, at least get on there safely. So we're going to just leave this here, and we'll just jump out and walk over to our JCB and jump in and haul this down. It's a shame that it doesn't fit a full, you know, 2 full pallets at the front, but I'm pretty sure that if I were to pick this up, if I would have just picked this up by driving by, I'll tell you what we'll do here. We'll put a little bit of realism to it. Let's see, R, and unfortunately these they don't go over. which is kind of sad in a way. Alright, we've got a couple of straps on it. I wish that they actually went over the items instead of just underneath, but I think really technically you only need about one strap and it locks the entire load down. Well, I hope you all are having a wonderful week. I do realize that you are getting 2 Coldborough Park Farm episodes back to back. I'm just kind of getting us back to our rotation of Coldborough Park Farm on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Law Folds on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So basically, this episode you're seeing on, when are you seeing this episode? You're going to see this episode on Wednesday. I'll get in cab for this. Need to clean the windshield of the JCB. So what our goal is here is that hoping that we can just keep our, I'm trying to keep our cash on hand above 0. So in other words, not going negative and not having to get a bank loan. And so what we're hoping is that we're going to make a pretty significant amount of money on this wool, and then we're basically going to go across the street and exchange some of that money for pig food, because as you can tell, if you look up in the upper left hand corner of the screen at the HUD there, you'll see that our productivity on our pig farm is at 10%. It's because they are starving little pigs. I think, unless I'm completely at a loss here with what I think versus what actually is the case, I think that I can, there we go. I think that I can sell this wool right actually over here. Thinking maybe if we just drive through, it will auto sell right off the trailer. If it doesn't, then I'll have to bring something up here that has some forks on it and do that. So hopefully we can make this turn okay. That's the advantage of a dolly trailer like this. I can't back these things to save my life. And it's not going to sell off the trailer, is it? Oh, shame, shame, shame. Okay, so I think what we can do is we can do it this way. We'll bring up our F1 menu. We will unload. There we go. These Bell, yeah, I forgot about this. I've only sold wool. I've only sold wool one time, and that was on my Goldcrest Valley series. And it sells it one bundle, one little bale at a time, and so there's four bundles of wool per pallet, and so it sells each of them painstakingly slow, one at a time. So do bear with me. But yeah, that is an advantage of these dolly trailers. I like the longer version, the new version of this trailer, which has the ramps on the back, which you see me use on law folds. I like that trailer, but man, it takes the turning radius for something like that is pretty significant, and we just don't don't have the luxury of those types of that much room here on a map like this. So we're kind of using what we can use. All right, so I think what we're going to do here, let me just kind of glance over at my timer there. And I think what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to pop over here to the store. And we'll just, from the comfort of our tractor, we will just go into here. And I know I was complaining about these big bags before, but you know, it's a lot easier and it's a lot quicker to be able to feed 5,000 liters at a time to our pigs than 1,000 liters at a time. And so we're just going to go with these big bags. It's a little bit heavy for that tractor that we have, but we kind of counterweight it with the weight on the back, and again, it's a little easier in getting this stuff done. So we're gonna pretend like, you know, you come here and you spend $33,000 on pig food, you would expect that this stuff would get automatically loaded for us, because that's sort of, you know, service after the sale, right? So so they were kind enough to load it for us. So thank you so much to the kind people here at our store. You know, it's great to have. You know, this is a good example, and this is not going to be a political commentary or anything of that nature, necessarily, not in the way that you might think. But, you know, Farm Sim is a good example of buying and selling local, isn't it? I mean, think about it. You know, I get that, you know, depending on where you live, you may have differences of opinion. And again, I'm not talking about political parties or political, you know, individuals in politics and nothing like that. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna share my ideals and thoughts and stuff on that. But you know, I will just say that communities are always, I think, my opinion, are always much stronger and much better off when you can buy and sell and keep everything sort of, you know, local to the oh, there's a gold nugget behind the phone box there, if you're paying attention, is always better when you keep these things local. And I'll be the first to tell you that my wife and I have become absolutely spoiled to Amazon Prime. We probably do more as far as the streaming media from Amazon Prime. In other words, we watch a lot of our favorite British programming and everything through Amazon Prime and Acorn. For those of you in the U.S., you probably know about Acorn. For those of you not in the U.S., Acorn is just a streaming service that is typically has most of your BBC, ITV type programming. So things like Miss Marple, Midsummer Murders, things of that nature. Poldark was something that we just watched season 1, binge watched it last weekend, and I'm going to be doing maybe the same thing starting this weekend on season 2 of Poldark. But anyway, so we're spoiled to Amazon Prime, and obviously when you buy something through Amazon, you're obviously not buying local, but you know, sometimes through convenience or price or whatever, you know, you just avoid that. But this Farm Sim is a good example of buying and selling local, and I think that is such a beautiful thing. And I guess I just wanted to mention that and just say that, you know, because we're fortunate because we have a nice reseller here that provides us all of our equipment and tractor needs and parts and what have you. And then we're getting our food and our pig food and our animal food when we need it. If we need to buy bells, we've got the luxury of doing that. And So yeah, it's pretty pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, we're going to unload the pig food right there, and we will come up later and put that away and actually feed them as well. And we will do that momentarily. And well, actually, why don't we just go ahead and why don't we feed them one bell, because I hate to see those little piggies starve. Those little guys, I mean, their tummies are just so empty. Can you hear that? That sound was not the door opening. That sound was the little piggies' stomachs growling. They're just so hungry. So yeah, we also have the bell, automatic bell loading on this tractor now. I mean, why not? Again, it's not necessarily about me breaking realism or anything of that nature. It's just trying to make it a little bit streamlined for you guys watching, because let's see. There we go. That's kind of weird. I guess when you have the locking script on, you have to maybe I hit the wrong key. I should have hit V instead of Z. Z basically releases it. See, they're all coming in to eat because they're just poor little pigs. I have just mistreated these guys by not allowing them to eat their little pig food. And of course, we are nowhere. I don't think we're anywhere near being able to feed our pigs from our own abilities. In other words, we don't have any. I know we don't have any root crops. We've not harvested any root crops on this map. I think we did harvest some. Let me see if I can do the right. Whoa! Sorry about that. I had something pop up. Let's try this. Let me look at the menu. Unload bills. That's kind of weird. Hang on, let's see. Do we get a different kind of... Well, it's kind of emptying. All right, so this is not a perfect setup here, but it'll work for now. Maybe there was something else, a different option that I should have hit. Oh well, we'll come back and do this later. I need to put these pallets away, and we'll do that. We'll do that later. So that kind of looked awkward, but hey, you know, sometimes I do things. Sometimes I do things because I want to demonstrate something. I want to maybe teach you something. Sometimes it's me learning something even on my own. But so yeah, so if you can figure that out, let me know, and you can obviously teach me something. All right, so we try not to. Our chickens here are a little bit unruly. They just kind of, and that actually does bother me just a little bit. I know that I believe Eustace Pharmer did something with his chickens on the Old Streams map. I think he removed them or did something to basically make them not walk around in the middle of the road, because you cannot help but run over them. I mean, I suppose it's sort of like the traffic. I guess if you wait there long enough, you could get a spot where you could inch a few feet up and then wait some more and wait for another chicken to, you know, get out of the way. But trying to pull a trailer through there, almost impossible. So we just kind of have to kind of grin and bear it, I guess. It's really unfortunate about these crop lines. Again, it's not BulletBill's fault. It's not an issue with the map. It has something to do with growth growth management changes. That's the best way that I can sort of describe that, is because I saw this originally with the growth manager, and that was just a mod. I forget who developed it, but it was just, it changed the growth, the in-game growth mechanism, and I saw these crop lines. And then obviously I'm not using that mod. That mod is completely uninstalled from my system, but I'm using the Seasons mod. And so obviously the Seasons mod is again doing something with growth, with the changing the growth, the default growth patterns, growth cycles, growth something or another. And yeah, so that is also an issue somehow, some way, and I really don't know. I don't know why. From what I understand, and I'm going to X, and we'll shut the JCB off. From what I understand, at least what has been discussed in the Slack chat that many of us YouTube folks that's using the Seasons mod that we're participating in to help communicate issues or whatever with the mod. This, by the way, this partial palette, this was what I guess had been produced at the time that I saved version 1, and then whenever I moved the vehicle XML file over, it was part of that. So that's why that only has two bells in it, and the others have 4. But according to the Slack chat, that we communicate any sort of issues, or whatever we want to talk to the mod developers of the Seasons mod about, they at least are aware of it. Now, whether they are aware of what causes the problem, that I don't know. That's probably the $1,000,000 question, I would say. I hope that they are. And I know that they do watch from time to time, because I know that they will comment on. They'll make comments on the videos, but maybe, just maybe, this is something that they could, if they haven't already, and if they have any way of communicating directly with Giants, they could maybe speak to them about, because clearly it's something. This is caused by, and I have no development experience at all with regards to farm sim stuff, but it's clearly some kind of disconnect or some kind of irregularity when you start manipulating the way that the growth stuff functions in the game. Because again, this other growth manager mod that I used for up until the Seasons mod came out, it did the same thing with these little crop lines. And unfortunately, because of that, Auto Combine just does not want to work correctly, because what happens is, as you can imagine, Auto Combine is running around in the field, and when it detects, and also the regular in-game AI also has an issue. So let's say, for example, you're running Auto Combine, and it hits one of those crop lines. If the crop line is not of the same crop variety, I'm really not sure if it's consistent across the entire map, or if it's different, if the crop lines are different for each field. But in any event, when the combine hits that, if it's not the same crop type as what the combine is harvesting, then obviously it has an issue with that. And so what it does is it thinks that it's either reached the end of the field, or there's something going on with the crop itself, and so it stops and backs up and turns around, or maybe it thinks it's completed its job and yet it hasn't. So let's see, I'm going to park this over here, or at least park the pallet forks over here like that, and back this guy up and try not to run into anything, and park him right there. Alright, so we are coming up on our magic 30-minute number. You know, I've had mixed, to be honest, I've had mixed comments regarding the length of my videos. I know that a lot of folks like 30 minutes, like the shorter videos, because you can consume the video within obviously a shorter span of time. So like during your lunch or whatever. Others have commented and said that, you know, they like longer videos, and I know that from watching, you know, from having watched Daggerwin's channel for, you know, over a year or so now, and Landy Kid and Simulate and other folks, I know that, you know, that's a struggle that we as content creators have in keeping you as viewers, as an audience, which is very important to us, and it's the reason why we do what we do in most cases. Whoa, sorry about that. That it's this happy medium between the two, and I think the best thing that I can maybe say, because I have thought about this, I've actually given this considerable thought. I have thought, okay, well, I could say, okay, folks, my Lawfold series is going to be around 30 minutes. My Coldborough Park Farm series is going to be 45 minutes to an hour. But the thing about it is sometimes I have the available time to sit down and let me just say this, and I know that many others will easily validate this, especially if you're doing content creation like this, is I may have a block of time that I can sit down at my gaming machine, which is down in my basement office, and play the game and record some content. So let me just sort of say this, that unless I sort of pre-stage things the day before or something like that, in order to produce around a 30-minute episode, getting equipment set up and doing some stuff that is sort of off camera. Let's see, I think we'll get a trigger here. We got a trigger last time that said something about unload. So there we go. That in order to create a 30-minute video, and I'm not talking about editing, because I usually do editing at a different time. I'll do editing a little bit differently. But just to record a 30-minute video, I really probably need about 45 minutes to an hour, because if I've got to move equipment around, if I've got to, like just before I started this episode, I waited until that field 17 had been finished plowing, and then I had to refuel him, did that, picked up the seeder, had to refill the seeder, take it down to the field, and then basically started him seeding, or her seeding, with Courseplay, and then I started the episode. So that took that probably took about 15 minutes to sort of get all that set, to get that stage and everything set, before I then clicked record on OBS and began talking to you. And so I suppose what I've decided is this. I'm gonna just do what I think feels right. If I feel like I've got the time, and if the story is going well, and I'm not rambling too much like I've been rambling the last few minutes. But if the storyline is going well and we just need an extra 10 minutes or 15 minutes, then we'll do that. And then, so one episode might be 45 minutes long. Another episode might just be 30 or 35 minutes, or maybe 25 minutes. It just sort of depends on how things go. So I think that's the best way, because I understand I cannot please everybody. I understand that there's some people that want long episodes. There's some people that want short episodes. There may come a time where, you know, I start getting more viewers where you want to see specific types of equipment, you want to see, you know, and I'm not going to be able to accommodate everybody's request. I know I've been driving the JCB here a lot in the last 2 episodes, and I will try to mix things up just a little bit, and that's for my own sanity, because I do enjoy driving and using multiple types of equipment. But at the same time, I also know that, you know, so you guys like to see stuff as well. But I'm not gonna really be able to answer the call of somebody saying, I want to see a Massey Ferguson, when I don't even have a Massey Ferguson, you know, on the map. It's gonna kind of have to just be, you know, what I have, and I will try to mix the equipment up that way, and I'll try to make sure that as I'm doing multiple maps, I will try to make sure that I don't have the exact same equipment on both maps, and I'm not doing everything exactly the same, etc., etc. So that's really, you know, all I can kind of do to make sure that I can at least keep an average number of viewers happy, because I do want to do what you guys want to see, as long as it fits within what I want to do, as well as what I think, you know, somewhat the greater number of population also wants to see. So I'm going to just basically start wrapping things up with this episode. I'm going to go ahead and drive the JCB down so that I can grab the Fent and get him refilled with seeds, because he needs to be refilled, and I'll do that, of course, off camera. But just thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it. Again, what we're going to do with this field, I think, is this will be a whole crop harvest that we'll send to the BGA once we get to that point, and I'm not sure where he is, but I'm guessing somewhere down there in the bottom. But thank you all so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. Those are not just words that I say each and every episode. I really do mean. I appreciate you guys watching and commenting and liking and subscribing. So thank you all so much for doing that. And please return again for another video. The next one that you will see, obviously, will be Lawfolds, and then we'll get back on our every other day release schedule. So thank you all so much, and we'll talk to you next video. Bye-bye.